Hi and welcome to another episode of the Career Stories podcast. My name's Joe.
And I'm Carrie.
We are careers advisors for Skills Development Scotland, and in this podcast we interview a variety of different people in their job roles to find out a bit about their career journey, how they got to where they are now, and obviously find out about what they're doing currently.
So we're here today with Leah McBain, who's the Highland Youth Convener, who we're so thankful has travelled over 250 miles to be here.
Wow.
So that is probably the furthest that anyone's ever travelled to see us. So hopefully it's worth your while. So you're from Convener, a village in the northeast of Scotland, and you're champion of life in the Highlands. So much so that when the job of Highland Youth Convener came up, you were jumping at the chance. Yeah. So you've been in post for almost a year and you're just getting ready to hand your baton over to your next person. The Highland Youth Convener is a pretty unique role, so we're both really looking forward to hearing about that. It's seeking to connect local youth voices on important issues to them with decision makers in the region, and essentially you're a voice for the people around you, which is amazing. So that means you're not afraid to use your voice for good, and you've been championing initiatives like the Highland Employer Charter, Workforce North, and a guide of how to speak to young people. So we're absolutely delighted to have you today, and we would really like to learn some more about speaking to young people and hear about how the work opportunities in the north of Scotland are growing rapidly.
Amazing.
So thank you.
I mean, there's an introduction and a half into it.
I know.
Jeez, oh, did you even know all that about your own job?
Do you know, it flies by so fast. Like, the second you get into it, it's like, here you are, this is what you're doing, and then it's done.
Yeah.
So I don't even remember half the stuff I've done until someone mentions it again. I'm like, oh yeah, I did that.
I suppose when it's like a year's post, you're almost, you really do have to hit the ground running, because you've not got the time to go, oh, I've got plenty of time to settle into this. You've got all systems go from the start.
Yeah.
And it's one of the ones you check your CV in like 4 years and remember, oh, I did that job, or I did that job. So tell us a bit about your experience or your early kind of experience into youth work. How did that come about?
Yeah. So it sounds quite tragic when I say it like this. So when I was in uni in third year, I got meningitis. Oh. So I was in hospital for about a week. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, I was kind of like, I can't handle. So I used to work in hospitality, as anyone does in uni. Yep. And then I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. It's too fast paced. It's too much. Mm. And my youth worker from high school said, oh, there's a youth worker job going. Do you want to do it? Mm-hmm. And she was my youth worker, so I knew how much of an impact it had on me. And I was like, why not? Let's go for it. And I did it for like 3 years. And the relationships you build in it and all the young people you work with, it's such a special kind of role, I think. And I love youth work.
It's amazing. I used to be a youth worker as well, and it was a very, it's a strange sort of relationship you have with these young people, and they're so like, you're not their teacher, you're not their family, you are kind of their friends, but you're also someone separate, someone that they can speak to, someone they can trust. And it's just, I think it's sometimes not always seen as important as it is.
It's one of these things that I always describe it as invaluable, but immeasurable, because you can't measure how much of an impact you've had on someone's life. Definitely. Unless they say to you afterwards, like, no, you helped me here. And those things you have like 2-3 years later where you're like, oh yeah, no, you were the person that I spoke to, and you're like, oh,
well, we were saying that because obviously we're careers advisors, so we work in school, so we don't necessarily always get to see like the end result of the support that we've gave, and when they end up hopefully in the career that they wanted to. I did have it once, which was really good to have talked about before, which was good. So it's good that you're starting to see that. But so talk a bit about, you mentioned obviously a wee bit about you went to uni, so was it totally different what you were going to study there, or was it a completely different path?
I did history criminology.
Okay.
So it sounds like such an odd mix, and during school it was, so UHI, the University of the Highlands and Islands, were the only one offering it in Scotland. So I was kind of like, well, I'll go to UHI, it's a uni, go for it. And I loved it. I love my history, and I think the criminology side added in that kind of like quantitative side where you see both ends of the scale, where you're looking at the past but then also the sheet, like the modern shape of the world.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
I find it interesting because obviously you said about UHI, the Highlands and Islands University, and it's funny because I think a lot of people who are from the Highlands are will be looking to move away, and they want something a bit different. So then to go, so I just went there because it was the only one that offered the course sort of thing. So it can be interesting how that could shape your life. If you'd been further down south, would the same opportunities have existed for you?
I don't know. I mean, my brother's down in Queen Margaret's at the minute, and he has had a totally different uni experience from me. But then I was also the COVID generation, so my uni was cut off, I think, March of the first year, and it was COVID.
Yeah.
But I think that was really beneficial as well because it was online and you learned a different skill set.
Definitely.
So you just have to go with what happens, and you know, you get what you want with it, I guess.
There's a lot to be said for kind of just being able to go with the flow of what happens. And, you know, and I think a lot of people, we've all, like, obviously that sort of COVID generation and like the difference between what uni looked like. I was in my second year of my postgrad and my first year actually. And it just kind of cut off right towards the end, and then it all went online, and it was like they'd never done it before. So they didn't really know what to do. Whereas I think Highlands and Islands University, they've always been quite good at being able to do distance learning.
So they've always had a mix. So like my year group, there was a few that were studying in Carkwell, Orkney. There was a couple in Tharsoy. A majority were in Inverness.
Yeah.
And you did get a good, you know, most of my friend group were the EU students.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of them were Dutch, were French.
Oh, wow.
So they were so fantastic when COVID happened, because it was like, right, go home, just use WebEx like the ones in the Isles, it's fine. And it worked. And I think they probably were more prepared than some of the other ones. But
yeah, probably.
You know, you learn, I guess they learned from past.
Definitely.
So, see, you obviously mentioned moving into youth work, and a lot of that was for your own experiences and your own youth work. And probably that's actually quite common, I would say, from us. We see a lot of people have had support when they were younger and kind of see themselves wanting to maybe give back or do something similar. So, you'd mentioned, obviously, you went for the role, you're in that role.
Yeah.
How did this youth convener role come about then?
So, I finished uni. I was in a master's. I left the master's because I was kind of like, this isn't for me. I was actually going to join the police. And I was speaking to my youth worker, Yvonne, and she went, oh, this youth convener's role's going. Do you want to go for it? And I've kind of always had this mentality of what's the worst that can happen? So I applied to it, didn't hear for like 2-3 months. And I was like, oh yeah, you've got an interview next week. And I was like, all right. Guess I'll just make a presentation quick, see what happens. And it's such a good like interview because it's young people that are interviewing you.
Oh, amazing.
So the first round is young people, and they kind of get to know you, get to know you, what you're interested in. And then the next round you've got counsellors as well.
Amazing.
So it's technically an elected role, but also, you know, it's a really unique kind of position where I can say, like, I was interviewed by young people, and also,
I think that must feel really good though, in terms of the fact that your role is about the young people, and the young people are the ones who decided that you got to do the role. So, you know, you're not just doing this because some random who has nothing to do with it decided, we'll go with you. You're doing it because what's the word? A bundle of like actual young people of your peers have decided you are the person we want to represent us. That's amazing. That's so exciting.
It's fantastic. And so the young people that choose you are called the Highland Youth Parliament Exec.
Okay.
So it's about like 1 or 2 young people from every high school.
Oh, wow.
And then it's a few, I'm going to say the more confident ones.
Okay.
Because, you know, not everyone wants to sit in a job interview or learn to do that. But you speak to them afterwards and like, oh yeah, that was the first time I've ever been in an interview.
Oh, wow.
And they're on the other end, so they're learning both sides as well.
That's very cool.
I think that's a really good point, because I've known people who've been interviewers for things, and they get really nervous before the interview. And I remember thinking, you're nervous, so what about the people getting interviewed? So I think it's something that can be really important for like young people especially to know, is that the people who are interviewing you, they're not always the most comfortable in that situation as either, and they want you to do well. They want the best person for the role, so they want you to do well.
So what does so obviously you are now a voice for the youth, right? Explain to me the youth. Well, we can say that now. Like, our age starts with a 3, so we can talk about the youth, right? What does that entail then? So what is the job? What is the kind of things that you're doing within this year?
So every youth convener has a focus. So the one before me was army families. So she worked to make sure that those that were in army families were better represented in council and more Highland wide. The one before her was LGBT, so having that representation, mental health. Because of the criminology focus I had, which funnily enough was also that youth work side of how young people are impacted by crime, was like, I could do online safety. Yeah, when I had to decide, I was sitting with these 3 options and I was going to do transport. Because that is a big issue in the Highlands. Seldom heard voices, so additional needs, because I'm dyslexic and I know how big of an impact that can have. Or I had on the side this digital life thing, and the guy that I was speaking to just went, do it. Do it. I was like, all right, that's fine. So yeah, my focus is online safety and technology. Right. And then it turned into employability, and then also making sure seldom heard voices were better represented, and so much more.
So it's just
you're doing a bit of everything now.
Yeah, it's. I think I struggle to say no to things.
Yeah. Oh,
but yeah,
same.
But it's like in the best way. But that's the thing. I think sometimes saying yes to things, like as long as you can manage it, you get to experience different things. Definitely. And I have experienced so much this year that I feel like I can do anything.
Yeah. And that's such a lovely thing that this role and this position that you've been in is not only building up your experience, but your confidence in knowing that you are so capable, and it's so exciting. I think when you're saying about the online safety, like that's such a youth worker thing, isn't it? Like that's literally like, I think I spent half of my time as a youth worker being like, you know, if you put that up, that this will happen and this will happen, and you've got your school tie as your profile picture, and you've got this and you've got that, and people just don't realise how much of themselves they're putting out online. We did like a wee experiment where we put a photo up to see how far it would get, and honestly, like I don't think there was a single country that didn't comment on it. It's crazy. So it's so important. So many people are online.
Particularly, I mean, obviously rural Scotland, you know, digital skills is probably really important. Yeah. Maybe just in terms of, you know, future employment and stuff like that as well. So like talk a bit about that in terms of that part that you're doing at the moment then.
So a part of my role was, I knew that the Highland Youth Convener, it's not always known about. So I decided I was going to do a road show.
Oh,
so
cool.
I went I call it like the NC 1000, because I went around the NC 500 like 3 times. But I was going into schools and I was kind of going like, do you know what this is? Do you know what's going on? But then I was also asking them like, you know, I kind of did a survey on how they felt their online lives were like. Okay. So something like 300 young people took part in total. Okay. So I had some from Tharsoy, from Adnamarkin, which is, you know, nearly an island kind of thing.
Amazing.
Nairn, Inverness, Ullapool, my own high school. And the amount of stuff I got from that, I know that, you know, speaking to them, it was like, they know how to bypass any safeguarding thing on a Chromebook. You know, that's easy. But then at the same time, they're like, oh, I don't really understand privacy. Yeah. And you're like, okay, great.
Something to work on.
But at the same time, it shows how important technology is. Yeah. And how, like, even rurally, you know, you can say like, oh yeah, we don't have Wi-Fi up in the Highlands, which sometimes it's true. But you also don't switch off from technology. No. You know, you always have your music downloaded, or you've got to have a Chromebook for school, or, you know, you get home, you're playing video games. It's, I think no one turns off from it anymore. No. We don't think about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think you compare like, our age starts with a 3. So, you know, you compare like our childhood, like you literally, like if something was happening at school, it turned off when you left school. Like I think I was like 18 when I got my first iPhone. I was late to getting an iPhone. I'm not that old. But like, you know, I do think like you could turn it off. Yeah. Like, you know, somebody was being horrible to you on MSN. You can log out. Yeah. You know, it's very different. Like you probably don't even know what MSN is.
You don't.
Okay, fine.
Safe.
But you know, I do think it's like there's like, you know, I look at like my kids and everything, and like they're getting messages all hours. You know, I'm hearing the phone ringing at 5 a.m. I'm like, what are you doing? You're meant to be asleep. Like it's mental. Yeah. But
even like, you know, one of the big conversations I've been having is snap maps.
Yes.
And they'll just, you know,
there's some randoms.
Well, there's like some of them are like completely against it, and I'm like, fair enough. But other ones are like, oh yeah, no, I add anyone, but it's public and you can see where you go. And there are some situations where you're like, if you're being bullied either like in school or, you know, someone's looking for you.
Yeah.
It's really easy to find people like that
is.
nowadays. It's
Knowing where their home is, it says on it they're at their home,
Yeah.
and you can see exactly where they live. It's it's scary, definitely.
I don't think you can switch up, but then there are so many benefits to it as well.
I know.
So you know, my school is about an hour away from me. So if the bus ever broke down, which was a lot-ish, my mum knew where I was.
Yeah.
And, you know, my dad would come pick me up because the bus broke down or, you know, so there are benefits and negatives to everything. So
it's about being aware of it and aware of what you're showing and who is seeing it. So these are, that's like a very important thing to be speaking about, definitely. And then when it comes to, obviously you've touched on it, like growing up in rural Scotland, like what was your time at school like? We're kind of throwing it back.
I know. So I would describe myself as I was a goody two-shoes.
Okay.
But I was extremely antisocial.
Okay.
So I never got in trouble because no one knew what I was doing, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like my mum always had a rule, do what you want, just don't get caught.
Yes.
And, you know, I still went to like, it wasn't prom, but, you know, like the Christmas dance. You know, I still had a friend group, but I've always been the kind of quieter person, believe it or not.
Me too.
Yeah. I think,
No chance. Carrie, no listeners believe in that.
I know. Yeah. But then in S4 after my exams, I failed all of them.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that's not, and it was dyslexia.
Right.
So they found out really late. But then again, Yvonne, the youth worker, her and a few teachers really stepped up and were like, you need to get tested. Yeah. We're going to help you out. You know, and I think that's the reason I got into uni, because I had so many people around me going like, no, you can do it.
Do this. Yeah.
It's not you know, this is not like a life-ending thing. It's just a little roadblock that you can jump over with the right support.
Yeah. And I think that shows like what difference having the right support can make to failing S4 exams to going on to university. There's a lot of people that we speak to who don't do well in their S4 exams and go, well, that's it, I can't do what I want to do. And we're there going, well, no, you can. Like it might be difficult, but these are what things that you can do. So actually seeing that like you can go from that to being at uni.
I would say your personality maybe is a prime example. You said you're quite reserved and like nobody even knew you were there, and now you're doing a role which is A, on this podcast, which is never easy. B, obviously being a voice for so many other people, maybe even people like yourself who were maybe quiet and stuff like that as well. So like how does that happen? How did you go from being quite quiet to build these skills?
I think it kind of goes back to that meningitis thing where I did nearly die. Like, be honest with it. And then it was kind of like, what do I have to lose now? So I still am really quick, you know, like once I'm home, that's me. I don't want to speak to anyone. You know, I spend a lot of times, sounds like so stereotypical, I'm up in the mountains a lot and I'm out, you know, if you're in the Highlands, you're going to like, you know, enjoy
Why
the
would you
landscape.
not? Yeah, exactly.
So when I'm on duty almost, like I am social and I can do it, but then I'm also allowed to switch off.
Yeah.
Good.
So you just learn when to do it, kind of. And
does that not just show how much doing what is right for you and what you enjoy fills your cup so that you can do the other things? So obviously you enjoy your job and you're getting all the good things from it, and people are getting all the good things from you, but also you're aware that you maybe refill your cup with solitude or being out with small groups and things like that. So then by doing these things that are good for you in your own time, you're then refilled, ready to go when you're on work time. Like I think that's something that's kind of slept on, is like how important it is to do whatever that is that will make you.
Do you think we switch off when we go home? No. I don't know. I think we're always wired to the moon a little bit. But see, we're obviously talking about digital because that was a part. And right now the topic of discussion is AI. So like how have like you used AI, and what do you think about, obviously in a region like the Highlands and stuff, what are the opportunities, where can AI fit in there?
So I think I'll start with what the young people are saying, because it was one of the topics I was asking them about. So it's really interesting because I think it was something like 62% said they don't like it at all. I need to double check myself.
But that is
but there's such a scale between those that don't use it and they have their reasons, whether it's environment or ethics or, you know, that's, you have to respect that and you can't force someone to use a tool they don't want to use.
No, of course.
Then there's the other side where they use it almost like a pal, where, you know, they can use it for everything. There's some in the middle that use it for homework or to explain stuff. Or I had one which maybe is funny, maybe isn't. They were using it to write fanfics about themselves and their friends. I thought that was
quite like that, to be fair. That's pretty cool.
Quite cute, actually, yeah. It was all like cutesy stuff. It was like
that.
We went on holiday to France. I was like, that's okay.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I might have to get a wee fanfic written about us.
I know. It's quite. But then there's other ones that, and like maybe I've done this as well, where they use it to get discounts on websites.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's different uses for different people, and I think, you know, it's not going to stop. And I think it depends on who you ask. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but you have to accept that it's going to kind of stick around.
And it is a thing, whether it's good or bad, it is there and it exists. So,
And I think it has its place. It's just finding its place still. I think it's like when the internet first started, you know, my dad was there when it kind of started off. And he was like, no one knew what to use it for.
Yeah.
And then seeing where it is now.
It's, night and day.
Yeah. But the thing is, we've got protections on it, and so we.
Yeah, and I think in our jobs, I think it's really important how I think our jobs is more about helping people who come to us. I had someone that came to me and said, you know, I found all this in ChatGPT about this particular opportunity regarding like funding, but actually it wasn't funding for him. It was funding that was given to the organisations to then give opportunities out there. But he thought, I can get like $4,000 in grants. And I was like, that's not available. So came to us to give, to almost explain and like proof and understand. So it's there as a useful tool to build information, but unless you know how to process that information, it could, it might not necessarily always be 100% accurate.
I've seen a lot of people use it really helpfully, like if they're preparing for an interview where they've asked it, say they've put in the job description, they've put in the company, and they've said, this is what I'm being interviewed for. Can you ask me questions and I'll give you my answers? And so it can be like that almost back and forth, and especially for people who've not got, like, everyone's got access to a careers advisor, but they maybe don't realise it. But some people don't have someone at home that they can sit and practice the night before for their interview, or someone who'll ask them questions, or someone who knows what questions to ask. So it can be really helpful like that. And same with like things like CVs and going, oh, does this look right? Does it have I covered everything? Have I missed something? It can be really good for that instant feedback and that instant support. But then again, it's just making sure taking everything with that pinch of salt, isn't it? You've said about obviously obviously working with young people and young people's voices being heard is so important. So you've written a guide how to speak to young people. So tell us about that.
Send us
it. Do you know what? I think the funny thing about it is I couldn't think of a better title, because like
how to speak to young people.
It's so there's two versions of it. It's how to speak to older people and how to speak to younger people.
What's older people though?
So
like anything that starts with a 3.
So both of them came from when I was speaking to the young people. So again, with Highland Youth Parliament, we invite different organisations and groups, and a lot of the time it was like, I don't think they're listening to us, or I don't think I understand them. Like, so then it became, how can we, if we're trying to bring these people in to speak to young people, help both sides understand each other? So the how to speak to young people side, and it's not trying to be derogative or anything. No. It's just going like, this is how young people want to be speaking to and listened to. And the how to speak to older bit was, you know, if you don't want to like kind of sit in front of someone and go like, this is what I need help with, or this is what I want to speak about. It's different ways you can communicate. So there's bits in it where it's like, you know, what is a safe person? So, you know, that kind of youth worker role, or, you know, if it's your best mate, your Uncle Tim, I don't know, but how important different ways of communicating can still, you know, how can it have that impact? And again, with that, how to speak to young people, why it is so important that they feel listened to in these conversations, because otherwise they're not going to engage. You know, if someone doesn't listen to you, you're not going to speak to them again if you can avoid it.
And I think that's something that, like, as careers advisors, that's something that we kind of come up against sometimes is, you know, people will just assume that we're another adult who's going to tell. And anyone who's met, once you've met us for a couple of seconds, you know, we're not tellers. We are listeners, we are supporters. But I think sometimes you are up against that that idea of something, especially like as anyone who's like, you say, oh, I'm a careers advisor, and people are like, oh, my careers advisor at school told me I couldn't. And you're like, no, that's not us.
Aye.
So I think it is, you know, it is something that is so important to us, is making sure that people have that opportunity to speak and be heard, because speaking and being heard are different things, aren't
Totally.
they?
So obviously, like, the Workforce North is like, it's a massive project coming up at the moment. So like, what opportunities are there then for like young people up there in the north?
Many.
Is there?
So
Tell us about it.
I know. So it started off, funnily enough, so Strathpeffer, I got invited to this fast kind of initial Workforce North thing, and I was asked to be on the youth panel with a bunch of different young people that went through different kind of, you know, there was some that went through uni, apprenticeships, some went like straight from school to, you know, kind of like part-time positions or apprentice, all different kind of things. So there I kind of learned more about it and what it was, and it started off kind of like an ambassador program. And again, because I was representing young people and I knew like what they wanted, it was like, oh no, another friend, like another ambassador thing. They don't want this. And then it's now kind of turned into those young people that do, you know, they want opportunities to get involved with work. How do you reach them? And then it became, you know, it's kind of taken the opposite approach, where instead of saying, right, you need to apply for a CV, you know, you put your CV in, get a job, so on, it's going, we'll speak to you first. So it's apprenticeships, it's employability opportunities, but it's I kind of like turning it on its head a wee bit, where it's kind of going like, you're here, you want a job, we're trying to make the Highlands better, let's work at the same level.
So let's talk a wee bit just briefly back to your job, right? So obviously, you know, your job's coming close to an end, is that right, for the year? So tell me about like, what's the best parts that you've enjoyed from this year, and what have you learned?
So, I've learned so much, but I don't know. There's so much that I've done that I don't think I've actually processed much of it. Like, I'll be going home today and I'll be like, oh yeah, I need to do this, this, and this. And it'll be such simple things. And one of my favourite questions to ask the young people is like, where's the best place to get a takeaway? Because you're on the road, so you ask these questions. And anytime I'm in the area now, I'm like, oh, they recommended there.
I'll go there,
And it's because you listen to them. And I think when you see them again and you go like, oh yeah, no, I tried it. You know, you remember those young people and you see them about. You know, like whenever, so Eastgate's like a shopping centre in Inverness. So if I'm in there and I see a young person, like, oh, Leah, hi.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice.
And I think, you know, it's like that wider, I don't know how to describe it. It's just such a...
Like this huge network as well that you've got.
100%.
Like you've got all the people that you probably work with like more day to day, and like, but then you've got all these young people who will know you and who will know that you're there for them. Like that's pretty special to have. And then obviously with such a like it's quite a big role and it's quite a nuanced role sort of thing. Like how important is work-life balance amongst that? You're obviously going to be traveling so much. So how do you balance that?
So I love driving, I should say.
Good.
So,
Handy.
So the thing, again, so you have to take into the fact like living in the Highlands, depending on where you are, you do travel a lot. You listen to a good podcast like this, you know. But you kind of learn to just live, you know. I have this thing where I'm in the car and after I do something, I talk to myself in the car and I explain to myself like what I've just done and like what I need to do after it, just to remind myself what I've done. And it's so good to like kind of go like, this happened and oh, I can do this from this. But yeah, there's so much traveling in it and a lot of overnights.
Yes, I bet, definitely.
So many overnights. But then again, when you get home, you know, I think there's 9 mountains in my area alone. So I've been up quite a few of them with my dad and my dog, or I do a lot of historical preservation work. So we've on the drive to school, there's 2 castle like ruins, Ardrak Castle and Calder House, and I see that every single day when I pass it, and I'm like, I know all the history about that, and it's, you know, you learn what the land was, and how important all those different bits were, and I think that's kind of where my mental health goes, like knowing how much has happened here, and how much more can happen in the future, and I think,
It's exciting. It's an
It's
exciting
so
thing to be a
special,
part
It's
of.
mad we're all part of the same country, but absolutely
it's how
living polar
different.
opposite lives
I know.
from one end to the other.
I know.
It's
And
quite
everywhere
cool.
in between, it is exciting.
So obviously coming close to the end of this,
Yeah.
what's next for you, I guess? What's the next the next stage of your kind of career journey?
So my next big thing is, so with all the road shows, I'm writing up a big report about what the young people said and kind of what recommendations they have, along with, you know, where they're saying they want to see more stuff. So I think that's my next big step, along with Highland Youth Parliament has a conference every year. So I'm helping plan that, I'm organising that. And that's kind of like the final, the grand finale almost. Youth work, I think, even if it's not a full-time job, I'm forever going to be trying to volunteer at some youth space or another. But yeah, it's
The
whatever
world's
happens.
open.
Yeah. I think Scotland as a whole is so special, but the Highland is just like, you know, I think as a Highlander, there's a calling to stay.
Yeah.
It's just trying to stay in whichever way you can, kind of thing.
Yeah. So what then, if that's the case and you were talking to a young person, because obviously you're the voice of the youth, as we've discussed, like what kind of things are you saying to them to encourage them to stay and build their careers here? Like what kind of things are beneficial to them to stay with them?
So it's a bit of a, I guess, a hot take. If they want to go down to Edinburgh or Glasgow for uni, try it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't go, you're not going to know whether or not it is something for you.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned like apprenticeships is like being quite popular in the Highlands, but is there particular jobs of the apprenticeships, or where are the job opportunities that you kind of seen coming up where young people are kind of moving into?
So I think, I can't remember the exact survey, but I think engineering was one of the top ones to go in.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising because there's a lot of, you know, green, so we've got the green Freeport now, which is kind of more green energy going into the Highlands, but there's also work getting done on so many solar panels going up. There's always going to be that. There's plenty of houses being built, so we need the joiners, we need the bricklayers, we need more sparkies, plumbers, everything. So I think it's kind of like the world's your oyster.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I think also we can see the passion. And, you know, we work obviously with young people also. So, it's really good to speak to a fellow person that does this, a similar, not the same job, but similar caring for them and speaking for them, which is amazing. So I really appreciate you coming because I know it is a long way. And I know you say you don't mind driving, but 250 miles for anybody is a bit of a stint.
Yeah, it is an ask. So we appreciate the answer. But thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you on the next one.
Yeah, thank you.